We're live.
Hi,
And you have
everybody.
questions in your email.
Okay, I'm so glad to see you. Thank you for being here with us.
Thank you for having me. This is so exciting. It's been forever since we've seen each other.
I know we were just discussing that it's been 8 years, we think, right?
That's insane. Yeah, I was 18 and I just turned 26.
Oh
So
my word. I love an actress who reveals her age, by the way. I love that about you.
good.
Actresses won't do that. They won't tell how old they are. It's so
And
funny.
I mean, I get it. Like, there is age discrimination, but I'm still playing 16, so it's fine.
You're fine with it. You look 16 right now, actually. It's really
I
cute.
can play 16 or I can play 28. So
That's one of my things I want to talk to you about today. But first, if you don't know, you guys, this is Jasmin Savoy Brown. She is an actress that is currently living in Los Angeles, working hard, very hard. And what's so cool about Jasmin is that she actually came and worked at Acting for Kids and Teens when she was 18. Yeah. So I've known her. You were living in Eugene at the time, Jasmin.
yeah, Springfield. I grew up in Springfield.
Oh, Springfield.
And then,
yeah, right next to Eugene. Yeah.
yeah, and then I moved to Portland. I was being an extra in a movie called The A-List that was shooting outside of Portland. They shot for a couple weeks and I was an extra every single day. So I would drive from Eugene to Portland and they paid, I think, $40 a day. And then after gas, I made like $3.50, you know, but I was like, I just wanted to be on a set so bad. And then a couple of the kids that were extras studied with you and they were like, you should come take classes here. And then I moved to Portland and I don't think I lived in Portland yet when I did your intensive.
No, because you were like, what can I do? How can I do this? And I was like, you need to move to Portland immediately. And you did. Like,
Yeah.
you immediately moved to Portland because you were like, I want to do this.
Yeah, right away. It's so funny because lately I've been thinking about that, how like, I feel like the older, at least for me, the older I get, I feel a little bit more scared. I had no fear. When I was 18, I was like, yeah, I'll move to Portland with $200 in my pocket. And then when I was 19, I was like, yeah, I'll move to LA knowing no one with $2,000. And now I'm like, that's crazy. How did I do that?
Right. I know. And it is a real leap of faith. It is a real leap of faith. And I think, you know, for a lot of kids and teenagers, when we talk about LA, you know, we just say, don't do it. Don't do it. You know, like wait and build that resume. And I mean, how long had you worked in the Portland market or had you gotten any jobs in Portland before you moved to LA?
Yeah, so I decided I wasn't going to move to LA until I had my SAG card. And that was kind of my marker. And I got really lucky. It took me 13 months. So I was in Portland 13 months and I got my SAG card and I became SAG eligible so that the next job I booked, I would become SAG in LA. Yeah, so I did a small part in a movie called Laggies, which shot up in Seattle, directed by Lynn Shelton. And that I have a story about that. One of many stories where I made it really far. I was auditioning for a lead, and then I got all the way to the end, and they were like, "You're great, we love you, but we're gonna go with a name." That has been the story of my life. Yeah. So I did a little small part in that. I did a part in Grimm, and I think a national commercial. And then I was SAG eligible, so I moved to LA.
Can you explain, just for our students that don't know what SAG and SAG eligible means, you know, what the difference is there? Just kind of go over that.
Yeah, so SAG is Screen Actors Guild, and it's the union that all the actors are in. Well, not all the actors, you can choose to be in it. And it's, I definitely recommend being in SAG if you have the opportunity, if you live in a market that has plenty of SAG jobs, because then you get health insurance or you become eligible for health insurance, you get benefits, they pay into your retirement, they keep you getting paid well on set. It's a really great union. But the thing about it is, in order to be in a SAG film, you have to be a SAG member. It's this kind of like catch-22. But if you do a really good job and you're not in SAG, they'll invite you to be in the movie anyway. And you can be in a SAG movie without being a SAG actor 3 times, or a SAG commercial, or a SAG TV show, or a web series, whatever, 3 times before you are forced to join. And really all that means is you have to pay a couple $100s a year to keep your dues up, and then you have to pay a percentage of all the money you make, which is a really low percentage. And then ends up being a couple $100 to a couple $1,000s a year. But SAG jobs give you residuals. And so that's the difference between, like, when I lived in Portland and Seattle, I had an agent in Seattle. I would do like a Microsoft commercial and they'd pay me $400 for the day. And I thought that was so much money, and it is, but you never see a check again. But then I did a commercial for some, I forget, some like healthcare thing. And I made like $40,000. The day I worked, I made $900. And then every single time it aired, I got paid more and more and more. So that's the benefit of joining the union.
So before we get too far, I want to show your sizzle reel. But so basically you became SAG eligible, which I also always recommend to students. I'm like, if you're in a market like Portland or even a smaller size market that is doing some union jobs, try to get your SAG card or SAG eligible before you go to LA. Because once you're in LA, don't you think they just take that a little more seriously there? Or
For sure.
That good experience to kind of know what you're doing and who's professional and who's not before you get to that market?
And it's kind of silly, because just because you've said 2 lines on a network show doesn't mean you're any better of an actor than someone who hasn't. But in LA, that's kind of the thought. They look at your resume, they're like, oh, they've been on a network show, they must be legit, and take you more seriously. It's silly, but it's just a game you have to play.
And we're going to get into more of that in just a moment, but I want to show this reel. I love your reel, and I have so many questions.
Thank you. I do too.
Watch it. So let's give our fabulous audience a little taste of your reel here. Sorry, you're gonna watch me fuddle around. Okay. I'm gonna play it right now. Oh, there we go.
I am a fraud. Another self-satisfied, self-centered millennial dialing stuff up on her phone, complaining about slow internet and the 45-minute wait for brunch at Jeffrey's Grocery.
You are a horrible person.
Thank you.
Okay, now tell us about the batter. Well, we've actually got 3 batters, George. The first one is a plain buttermilk. That's good. Yeah, I like it.
I am Evie Murphy. I have started a new life. I am asking you not to tell anyone that you have seen me. Not my mother, my father, my brother. I just need you to leave me alone.
Like which one?
Okay, here we go. You want to give me the quiz? Make sure the girl who works at the comic book store knows what she's talking about?
No, of course not, Which major character was introduced in number 35?
Hank Pym, Ant-Man.
Number 49.
Trick question. Also Hank Pym. This time it's Jasmin.
Well played.
You sound surprised.
Thanks for coming. Amanda Joseph, Kristen's attorney. Let's go get popped through.
Popped through?
I represent inmate Kristen Rochester, and I'm accompanying these doctors to deliver court-ordered medical care. Let us through. Now. Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Broken pencil.
Broken pencil who?
Never mind. It's pointless.
Okay, so I'm stopping it because Jessica just let me know that y'all can't see it for some reason on your end, which is so strange.
Maybe you need to do screen share?
I did, yeah. I was screen sharing it. Can you see that?
Oh, now I can see it.
Okay, that was so weird. It did it before, but I'll reset it. Here we go. Round 2.
I am a fraud. Another self-satisfied, self-centered millennial dialing stuff up on her phone, complaining about slow internet and the 45-minute wait for brunch at Jeffrey's Grocery.
You are a horrible person.
Thank you.
Okay, now tell us about the batter. Well, we've actually got 3 batters, George. The first one is a plain buttermilk. That's good. Yeah, I like it.
I am Evie Murphy. I have started a new life. I am asking you not to tell anyone that you have seen me. Not my mother, my father, my brother. I just need you to leave me alone.
Like which one?
Okay, here we go. You want to give me the quiz? Make sure the girl who works at the comic book store knows what she's talking about?
No, of course not. Which major character was introduced in number 35?
Hank Pym, Ant-Man.
Number 49.
Trick question. Also Hank Pym, but this time it's Jasmin.
Well played.
You sound surprised. Thanks for coming. Amanda Joseph, Kristen's attorney. Let's go get popped through.
Popped through?
I represent inmate Kristen Rochester, and I'm accompanying these doctors to deliver court-ordered medical care. Let us through. Now. Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Broken pencil.
Broken pencil who?
Never mind. It's pointless.
Wait. Who here has read the script for the next episode?
Yeah, I've read it. There's like flying and stuff, right? There's like a bunch of wires.
Yeah, so like everyone gets to fly except Arya.
Doesn't matter. I've done wires before. It's a pain in the ass. I had to do it like 3 days in a row on Liberty Down.
Oh, I'm Arya. I had to do this movie, Liberty Down. Oh my god, it sucked.
Guys, all right.
Only had to work with Bradley Cooper, but he's really nice. He's like so cool. We text all the time.
Enough goofing around, all right?
Nina.
May I present the Incredible Hulk number 102.
Wow, this is a big moment.
Historic. You are now the envy of fanboys and fangirls everywhere. Some fight with a sword. You fight with a pen.
Pathetic.
We must all be the hero we were born to be.
We got to back this up. After preschool, did you go to private or public elementary?
Private.
When were you potty trained?
It's so random. It's pretty clear you and Kirsten have something special. I get it. She's amazing. I get it. But you know what? I am too. And I will not be second best. Scott Ackerman, I'm your biggest fan. Will you please go to prom with me?
I am asking you to do the right thing. Show Arturo the best of America. Send him home.
Woo! That last one gave me chills. What was that last one for?
It was from The Leftovers.
That was still okay from The Leftovers. Wow. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that was good. Who did you edit your sizzle reel?
No, I am forgetting the name of the person who did, but I will find out.
They did a great job for you.
Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah, it is. And one of the things I love about it, Jasmin, is it's one thing to be able to have all that work behind you, but then to show it in quick clips like that, you really understand all the different characters that you can play, the different accents that you can have, and the different ages. So let's just start with age right out of the gate, because you do really play a huge range. Is that something that you do for yourself? Like, you know, I know what I see as a director. I see the different shifts and technical things that you're doing, but do you have an approach to that you would say? Versus
Good question. I guess I kind of for everything I start in and go out. So I just start with what that age feels like to me, and then I can transfer that into my body. So like a younger person isn't necessarily comfortable in their body and they're a little bit awkward, and I know how that feels here, and then that kind of informs what my body's doing. Whereas like a 28-year-old lawyer, she knows who she is, she knows where she comes from, and that'll change how she exists physically in the world.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I really noticed that even the way that you speak, you know, as each of the different characters, you know, I think in some ways, perhaps playing somebody who's 18 and then 28, that's its own dialect study in some ways. Totally. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Do you notice that, is it easy for you to slip in and out of that? Or do you, you know, being that you're 26 now, do you have to go back and listen to people talk when they're 18?
Well, so I just did a pilot in December, and normally everything I've been on, I've been the youngest person, but on this I was the oldest. I'm playing 16, 17, surrounded by actresses who are actually closer to that age. The cast is like 17, 18, 19, 20. And I was like, whoa, I feel weird. We don't speak the same language. I was like, what is TikTok? Like, I didn't know what they were talking about. And that was the first time that I was like, oh, okay, I have to like do some real acting here. It just didn't feel, we weren't the same. It's funny because I play young so much that I forget that I'm 26. I'm like, I'm not that far from 18. I'm their age. And I've finally realized I'm not anymore.
Yeah. When you don't know TikTok, you know.
Yeah, or like a lot of the jokes. I was like, what are you saying? You speak a different language than me.
I know. So of course I still, you know, teach and work with teens every day, and sometimes they'll talk and I'm like, I don't speak teen. I have no idea what you just said. I don't know what you just said. So yeah, I mean, if you're gonna play a different age, you have to dive in and figure out what are the rhythms, right?
Yeah.
And so, and speaking of that, you have a couple different dialects on your sizzle reel. Which ones have you performed? How many dialects have you performed with before?
Yeah, okay, so I did a British dialect in Will, and then I forget what exactly the country was that I chose for the scene in The Leftovers, because it was, I got to pick. Wow. And I remember, that's terrible that I can't remember off the top of my head. But yeah, I'm a singer, I'm a musician. And so I studied opera and I studied classical music. So I just know a lot about manipulation of sound. So even though I don't have a really long dialect reel, I really believe I could do any dialect. It's just about getting lucky enough to have a show that will get you a coach.
Yeah.
For Will, I just auditioned with a British accent that now I know was terrible, and then they had a coach that worked with me every single day for months.
Oh, really?
To get it to where it was, which was still not great. But yeah, because that cast, we had people from Australia, New Zealand, Wales, London, Ireland, America, Canada, so many different accents, and we all had to sound the same. And our dialect coach actually is the same dialect coach that they used on Game of Thrones.
I was gonna say that.
That's the best.
Because it did sound like that.
Yeah, she's
yeah,
great. Jan Hayden.
Did she have some great stories about Game of Thrones?
A little bit. She didn't talk too much about it. She would just casually mention, "Oh, Amelia just texted me," and we were like, "Oh, okay."
I was hanging out with Jon Snow.
Yeah.
So let's go back just a little bit to you kind of being the girl that I remember knowing.
Yeah, I'm so curious.
Really wanted to be an actress.
Yeah.
And now, now you are the thing that you dreamt of being. And I always think that's a miracle when somebody has a dream in their heart at a young age, and then they grow up to be doing the thing that they dreamt of doing. What thoughts do you have around that? Or what do you remember thinking or feeling? Because listen, guys, if you don't know, Springfield, Oregon is a little town.
Yeah.
It's little. This is not even Eugene, Oregon, where there's a college. This is small town girl daydreaming, just like the rest of you out there.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Tell me about that.
So just where I am now, I am very grateful and very fortunate that I get to be doing what I love. And it is definitely not what I thought it would look like. Like watching that sizzle reel, it makes it seem, I mean, I have worked a lot. I am very fortunate. But that makes it look like it all happened back to back to back. There have been months where I'm unemployed. Last year, I barely worked at all. I did the pilot at the end of the year, and I was fortunate to do an indie film at the end of the year. But other than that, I didn't work all year long, and that was really scary. I was like, oh no, am I actually terrible? Am I never going to get hired again? But that's just the truth of this business that I've had to learn how to become comfortable with and accept. So it's interesting for me readjusting, like, okay, I am living the dream, but it's not what I thought it would look like, but that's okay. Yeah, it's really cool. I just always had this ache, this hunger for acting. It was all I ever wanted, acting and singing. I also sing. Not a lot of people know that. I'm slowly venturing more into that. It's just all I ever wanted to do, and I was just willing to make it happen. And for me, what that meant was learning to love every step of the process. Like when I moved to LA, I moved here with $2,000 in my pocket. I knew no one. I found an apartment on Craigslist, which is actually like so dangerous. Don't do that.
Let's not do that. Let's not do
No,
that.
don't do that. I got very, very, very lucky to have
Yeah.
good roommates. And then, and Sonia, some of your teacher.
Sonia, our very own fantastic
Yes.
coach, Sonia, and you were roommates.
She's one of my best friends. Yeah, she helped me move down here, and then she moved down about a year later, and we moved in together. And there was a period of time when Sonia and I were living together where we had bed bugs, so we had to get rid of all of our furniture. So we were sleeping on our hardwood floor. Okay, my car, 2 of the windows were busted, the brakes were busted. It was terrible. I was working a graveyard shift at a terrible restaurant, so exhausted, just like in the grind. And it was so exhausting and horrible, but even that I loved, because I knew that it was an act of love for me to put myself through that in a way, because I was doing it for a larger purpose. And I'm fortunate at which the speed my work has paid off. But I really believe that even if I wasn't at this place yet, I would still feel the same way of like, I'm here doing what I want. It's really hard, but I'm not going to give up. And for me personally, that's what's kept me going. But that's not to say that's the only way. I really hate when actors or artists or successful people are like, never doubt yourself, never blah, blah, blah. They're just so successful, they are forgetting the moments it was hard. There are going to be times where you're like, man, am I good enough for this? Am I cut out for this? Hey, maybe there's a year or 2 where you change your mind and do something else and come back. That's fine. There's not one way to be an actor, to be an artist, to be successful. It's just whatever is true to you. And so just always keep checking in with that, whatever it is. If it's taking a break, if it's getting 10-day jobs, if it's whatever it is right.
Well, so many thoughts come up when I hear you talk. Number one thing that stands out to me as a acting coach is your hard work ethic. And I think people, when they have adversity, we see how they show up. I mean, we're seeing it all across the country right now, right? Home for COVID, we're seeing how people show up through this extreme adversity. And for you to have bed bugs and your car window's broken, your brakes don't work, you're working graveyard. I mean, I'm just listening to that going, girls out.
Well, and let me tell you, in the midst of all of that, the thing that I made the priority was acting class. Like that's the most important thing, is to continue training. And if you can't afford a class, you get a friend together, 3 friends together, and you read a play every week, or you read scenes together. It's continuing to train. Even, I don't think, I mean, okay, sure, maybe Meryl Streep doesn't need to take any more acting classes, but I think like you're never at a point where you should stop learning. And the second you think you're above that, there's an issue. I'm not saying you don't take breaks. Like I've reached points where, like I'm not actively in an acting class right now, but I'm continuing to take voice lessons. My group of friends and I read a play last week, continuing to hone the craft in whatever way is feasible to you is, I think, the most important thing. So in the midst of all of that, I was still going to acting class every day. And
where'd you train in LA? Where were you training there?
I've trained a bunch of places. Some I won't name because, as I'm sure you tell your students, there are some bad ones. And in LA, there are some that are just like a money grab. There are also some that are manipulative psychologically, and they want you. I don't believe you need to suffer for your art. I don't think that's true. And I studied at a few places that really believed that.
I share that with you, by the way. I share that feeling. I think that making art is beautiful. And yeah, it should be, sometimes it should be a struggle. It should be scary sometimes and all sorts of other things, but it shouldn't be psychologically damaging.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. And there are teachers that believe that you need to go through some sort of trauma to reach success. So yeah, but some of the places I've studied currently, I was studying with Berg. There's a studio called Berg Studios. It's where my partner studies. He teaches at Yale, and he opened a studio here in LA. That's great. Leslie Kahn, I studied with her a little bit. Also, I did some private lessons with my partner, studied at her studio. And then I've done a bunch of different lessons with a bunch of people and just different drop-in classes with different teachers that come into town.
Yeah,
Yes,
and to your point about getting together, like I have a group of friends here in Portland. They're all working actors, and all of us got together to train, and each week one of us would take the turn of leading whatever that week's training would be. I mean, if you want something, I mean, just, you know, you can have it.
Oh, yeah.
You just got to get after it. Money does not have to be the only reason why you're going to be successful.
There's so many free plays online, or you could even watch your favorite movie and type up the scene, you know, and read it with a friend. It doesn't have to cost money.
Or YouTube. I mean, geez, just go to YouTube and there's so many different things that you can learn from people dissecting scripts or dissecting scenes. And yeah, of course, now I'm all online and we have tons of free classes as well. So that's a really good
So great.
So at what point were you, so you're living in LA, you've moved to LA.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you've got the bed bugs and your amazing roommate, Sonia. What was your first big, like, oh wow, this is the thing I came here for? What was your big job that you remember?
It was The Leftovers. So at that point, including my time in Portland, I had about 600 auditions, including callbacks. And they say that the statistic is every 100 auditions, you book a job. And that's been true for me. I've probably at this point had like 1,000 auditions, you know, and I've booked.
I just feel like we need to take a minute on that. So many actors are like, I had 3 auditions and I didn't get anything. And I'm like,
oh my gosh, no, of course you didn't.
3? That's like you went to 3 practices and you didn't get put in the game, you know? Well, yeah, you got to go to a lot of practices to get put in the game.
Exactly. Keep on showing up. And some of those auditions weren't even auditions like my agents got me. I just went on Actors Access and I was like, I will never actually do this. This is terrible, but I want to practice auditioning, you know, getting myself into rooms. And they maybe would be like, we're giving you the part. And I'm like, oh, I'm sick. You know, you don't have to actually necessarily do it. But yeah, just so many auditions, and I would ask for feedback. Sometimes it was really hard. When I first moved to LA, it was a wake-up call. I was really fortunate to get a manager right away, and she was sending me out, and some of the feedback was really bad. And that I'm so grateful for that, because I needed to learn like certain etiquette about being in the room, how to prepare properly. What they expect here is different, I think, than what is expected in Portland or Seattle, where it's just a smaller market, everyone knows each other. But funnily enough, every cold read I've ever had, I've booked. It's just really, the whole preparing for an audition is so interesting, because those things that I had 2 weeks to prepare for, that I prepared the heck out of, never really went well, because I've like overdo it. For me, the sweet spot is like 4 days.
Yeah.
Or a cold read.
About yourself.
Was that?
That's really good to learn that about yourself, you know.
Yeah.
That's something that you over prepare for. So HBO calls.
Yes.
The Leftovers was HBO.
Mm-hmm.
And they say they want you, and tell me about that moment. Tell me what that feels
like. Man. That was in the midst of the bed bugs, the graveyard shift, the class. I was exhausted. I was doing like a 1-week little children's musical thing, and we had just finished our dress rehearsal that night. We were opening the next day, and my agent called me backstage, and I literally like fell on the ground crying so hard, because also those agents had sent me out so many times, and I got so many callbacks, so many producer sessions, but never booked anything. And I heard that they were considering dropping me, because I hadn't booked anything, which is really quite stupid, because I was getting callbacks. So that was silly of them. So I was also just relieved that I was keeping my agents. But then I panicked, because I lied in my audition, and I said I played softball when I don't. And I was like, oh no, I need to get a softball coach. So I had 10 days before I had to leave. The next day after the musical ended, I was calling around and I was like, hey, I have 10 days to learn how to play softball. And my manager called back and she was like, they want you to fly out tomorrow.
Oh no.
Sarah! And you need to, I don't know. And she's like, yeah, they figured you lied. That's why they're having you come out early and they're going to train you there. I've done that twice. I just did that for this other pilot I did. I was like, yeah, I play soccer. I was playing a soccer star.
Oh no. Oh,
but luckily they also figured all the actresses lied and they got us a coach and we trained for 2 months. So why did they even ask then?
No, I've done that before with tennis. I was asked, like, you know, only come into this. It was a great part. Only come in if you've played tennis. I'm like, totally played tennis.
Yeah.
So I literally was like on that tennis court trying to learn how to play. All the balls were flying all over the place. I'm like, I'll figure this out eventually.
Because you will. Of course you will. It's like that story with Anne Hathaway. Was Brokeback Mountain, right? She lied. The director was furious. And then she won an Oscar. It's called acting for a reason. Chill out.
Yeah, exactly. I think, you know, when it comes to certain things, like, do you have a driver's license or a passport? Please don't lie. Please actually have that. But can we teach you something in an afternoon?
Right.
Yeah, you're going to be fine.
Especially when there are also stunt doubles.
Yeah.
We also have stunt doubles for all these soccer scenes. It really didn't matter, but oh well.
So tell us a little bit about, I mean, honestly, we don't have much time, or I could talk the entire time about how you were grinding and working so hard and really wanting and believing this in yourself. And, but I also want to know about how you prepare. So how do you prepare? You said you over prepare for auditions. So how do you prepare for your auditions, and how do you prepare once you get the role? Tell me about that.
Yeah, so I've gotten to a healthier place with auditions and roles. It's just case by case for me, actually. It's not always the same. Like this pilot that I just did, it's called Yellow Jackets. It was for Showtime. We don't know if it's picked up yet. It's really cool. It goes back and forth in time between 94, this group of girls on a high school soccer team who are really, really great. And on their way to nationals, their plane goes down. And so they're living in the wilderness for like 19 months until only a few survive. And then it goes forward in time to now, when the 4 that survived are grown women and who they've become. It's really cool. So for that, I saw the sides. I looked at them once. I was like, I get this. I totally get this character. I'm not even going to think about it. I didn't even like say it out loud, really. I just like memorized the lines, went in and did it practically cold and booked it. I just trusted my gut. Meanwhile, for something like Grey's Anatomy, that was so much jargon. I just like drilled the words and then researched what it's like to be a lawyer for people in prison, and did a lot of research to understand like how her mind works and how that would affect the way that she behaves and her point of view of the world. And then it's really just case by case, and I have to just trust that. But for preparing for a role, my biggest thing personally is creating memories. And I know that is an acting technique that I actually haven't studied. I forget what it's called, but something about memory creation, where I will sit with the script and it can take me hours, and I just go through and create memories for the person. Anything they ever refer to, if I'm like, oh yeah, my 8th birthday. So I'll like close my eyes and like really take myself back to that 8th birthday and create it. Mm-hmm. I start with like a memory of my own, and then I kind of combine it into this person's world until they take over, and it really does feel like my own memory. That way when I'm talking about it, when I say, oh yeah, my 8th birthday, I'm not just saying a line, but it is real to me.
I love that. It sounds similar to Meisner, you know, where you really live truthfully in those necessary circumstances with some sense memory thrown in, and like creating sense memories.
Totally.
And I think it deepens your character's experience, because, and that resonates on camera or to your acting partner, because you're not just saying a line, you have a whole, just like we do, a whole experience behind it. So that's really cool. That's a great tip for all my actors out there. That's a really
and it's fun. And then that way I don't like practicing the lines too much out loud, because I don't want to get stuck in saying them a certain way.
Right.
If instead I'm creating how I feel about the world I live in, then when I'm across from my acting partner, they can inform they'll inform the way I'm responding, but it's coming from this character I created. It's not just some rehearsed pattern of speech. It's truthful to my character and what this person is giving me at the same time.
Yeah.
I really try to practice lines more in my head than out loud. And if I do it out loud, sometimes I try to just keep it monotone, so I'm just saying words, or I'll do it so weird that I would never actually say it that way on set.
No, that's what I tell my actors. I'm like, a lot of you want to repeat it. You have to repeat it. So try it as a cowboy, try it as a British woman, try it as a Southern man, try it as a baby, like just play around with it so that it never has the same sound, but you're able to get it out. And then it's actually kind of fun too, right?
It is. Yeah. You sing the lines.
Yeah. Okay. I want to ask a couple of questions. So we had some students write in some things.
Great.
So did you go to a performing arts college or high school, and which one?
I did not. I just went to plain old Springfield High School and did all the musicals there and plays that I could. And then I actually auditioned to go to a musical theater program for college, and I didn't get into any of them. So that's why I moved to Portland, and it worked out just fine. I think that's just a personal choice. School is great, and it'll probably put you in debt. You can study at acting classes, acting studios. You can take vocal lessons, dance lessons without going to college. I don't think it's necessary for artists, but it's an option. And if that's an option that you want to pursue, do it.
I always say, if you're going to do it, and I hope they do, study business so that you learn how to run your business.
Yes.
Because that is a business.
That is a whole other conversation.
Right. Especially now with marketing, self-marketing, all that stuff. Yeah.
I hate it. Yeah.
I know. Okay. Next question. How do you find ways to be creative and act, sing, dance, and etc. during this time?
That's a great question. So I have a group of friends that we read a play together on Zoom every Friday. And I'm trying to make music. I'm playing my guitar, trying to play my piano. But I'm also just going one day at a time. Some days I just feel sad and have a hard time being creative. And then other days I do. I'm just going one at a time, doing what I can from my home.
It sounds like you're practicing the greatest gift of all time in art, and that's called being present in the moment.
Yes. Yes. Ooh, snaps.
Well, yes. We'll turn anything into something about acting. You just get you're like, I have a hot dog. I'm like, that's called studying for. Okay, this next question is from Reagan. Okay, on your IMDb biography, it says you're passionate about women's rights for LGBTQ. Have you been to any marches, protests, and events? What was it like? And what things have you done to gain equality for women and the LGBTQ community? Hello, Reagan.
Great question. Okay, yes, I have been to a couple of women's marches. That was a long question. I'm trying to remember every piece of it. Well,
I guess, just maybe talk a little bit about your involvement as an LGBTQ artist. I specifically noticed from my end, from afar, that you do something that a lot of artists don't do. And that is, you're public about your love and your life. And you're like, this is who I am. And, you're not just preaching to other people, but you're like, this is what my life looks like. And also I play everything. So, that's what I've noticed, at least.
Yeah, that's definitely part of it. I decided after The Leftovers, because my partner and I started dating when I was doing that show. And then we kept it private for a little while. And then I was like, do I want to work with homophobic people? Like, if I come out and say I'm in a relationship and it looks like this and I love who I love, and that means I don't get a job, great. I don't want to be on that set. I don't want to know those people or have anything to do with them. And I think it's my responsibility. Not every artist feels this way, and that's fine, but I think it's my responsibility as a person in the public eye. That means that I have privilege as a person that gets a regular paycheck to give a voice to the things that matter. And I am part of the LGBTQ community, and I am part of the female community. So that gives me even more insight in expressing how I feel about things. But I just think that people listen to me, and I shouldn't take that lightly. And I would like to tell them how to treat people rather than like what to wear or what to buy or what to spend their money on. Sure, if a campaign came to me and gave me $200,000 and it was like, tell people to buy this, I would do it. But my point is,
I don't do it for like 200. Fine.
yeah. My point is do both, you know? So yeah, I try to approach it just from telling the truth, and what I know to be true is my experience. And so I share that with people.
Well, I think what's really cool about your social media, and by the way, anybody that wants to follow her, it's just her name, Jasmin Savoy, on Instagram. And what is so amazing is you post about love, and you post on things when they're not great. You post pictures where you're not wearing makeup. Like, artists just don't do that. So you really do get the sense, at least I do, from what little I know of you and you know, and your social media, that you're interested in showing up as yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. I appreciate you noticing that, because it's so, like, I deal with acne because I have endometriosis, which is a disease of your uterus that basically means you have the most painful periods you could ever imagine. And so that means that my hormones are out of whack, so I have acne, and it's a whole thing. And I'm just over it. I'm like, people have acne.
Yeah.
I'm going to just let myself have it and show it, and I'm not going to worry about it. I work anyway. Again, if someone's not going to hire me because I have pimples, their show's stupid. Like, it's not.
Yeah, I've never heard, yeah. That's what hair makeup people are for.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, thank God for them, because, you know, there's those times we really do need them so very much. Yeah, that's a really great question, and I'm glad that that Reagan noticed that about you. I think that we would be remiss to not bring it up in this conversation. It is unique, and to have an actor be successful and to be very clear on who they are, I believe it adds to longevity. And it's, you know, for those of you who are listening, it's not just, you know, if you're LGBTQ or whatever. I mean, I have had that same experience being a Christian, and I kept it under wraps for a long time. I didn't want to talk about it. I didn't want my industry to know, because they might judge me or not want to hire me or think I'm judgy. And then what was so great is I sort of, you know, much later than you did, my dear, but realized, like, yeah, but I want to be myself. And if someone doesn't want to work with me because of that, that's great. That's even better, because that's who I want to surround myself with. So
totally.
Yeah, I love how you lead with love on your in your life and in your art, in your work.
Thank you.
So that is exciting for me to see that. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
And this next question says, oh, okay, this is curious. It says, how did you get into the acting scene? And I'm not exact. I think they mean like into acting a little bit, but I'm also curious, but just based on her question, tell me about the scene. There is a scene, right? The LA acting scene. What's that like?
Yeah, I guess so. But LA is huge. So I feel like there are different scenes. You know, in reality, it's all a facade. It's not real. Like, these premieres and these events and all these things, it's not nearly as fun or as great as it looks. It's a carpet they roll out, they put something up, the lights make it look fancy, and then you go inside if you want to and eat food and hang out with people, or you leave. Oftentimes I walk the carpet and I leave because I'd rather be at home with my pets. The scene is all it's just part of marketing. It's just part of our American business, making people want to be something they're not, want to be somewhere they're not. It's not real. But there are people that buy into it, and there are people that aren't, and I'm one of the people that don't buy into it, and I just hang out with my friends and do the things that I have to do to keep my business growing.
Yeah, I think sometimes actors, and that was Celia that asked that question, I think that sometimes there's actors that get so caught up in that I don't see longevity for them. I think they're so worried about it.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It has to be a balance. You have to play the game. I show up for these premieres, but often, like I said, I walk the carpet and I leave. You have to get your picture taken. You have to do it. But I know people who buy into it, and they go to all these things. They spend all this money and go to all these events. and they're going to be hot for a minute. But like you said, I don't think they'll last. And that's kind of how I feel about the whole social media world we live in now. I don't have a lot of followers. I'm not some influencer. And that might hurt me right now. I'll definitely miss out on some opportunities that I would have if I had more followers. But when social media crashes and is no longer the cool thing, I'll still be here good at acting because I'm still working on my craft, and I'll get hired then. Whereas the people who are banking on just like looking good and taking the pictures, that is work. That takes time and energy and money and effort to get the perfect pictures every day and post them. They're working, but I think they're working on the wrong thing if they want to last a really long time. You can do both, but you have to pick which one you're going to invest more time in. And yeah.
And you're not alone on that. We had Fred Armisen on from Saturday Night Live a couple weeks ago, and he shared that sort of same sentiment. He's out just being busy making music and making art, and tries to remember to throw things up on there once in a while if he can think of it.
Right.
Yeah. So I love this. Is a great question. Owen. Hi, Owen. Thanks for writing this great question. It says, Shonda Rhimes usually has very fast-paced dialogue. What adjustments or training tips did you use to get your lines down perfectly?
Oh, yes. That's a great question. So for me, being physical while I'm learning lines helps a lot. So I would take my monologues or my pages on a hike with me. And as I'm hiking, as I'm sweating, as I'm out of breath, I would say the lines because that helps me get it into my body. And then I like to memorize like how a sentence flows in regards to consonants. Like if there's a bunch of C's or a bunch of S's, I'll kind of sound out the first letters of a few words and go and that'll help me then if I'm remembering how the monologue feels or sounds consonants wise or vowels, then that'll help the words come back to me. But the physical thing is big for me for that kind of work. I don't know if that's the case for everyone. Does that help you at all?
I'm very physical. I mean, I always teach physical beats. So if you have any trouble whatsoever ever memorizing a line, you put like a physical action to it, several within the same line.
Yeah.
These will memorize physical action before it'll memorize a word. So it'll come really naturally, just like a dance would come to you. Yeah.
That's what
So fun. And then he also has another question. How fun was it to work on Lego Star Wars, and what was the coolest thing that's ever happened to you?
Good questions. Lego Star Wars was really fun. That process took forever. So I got that audition. It was an MP3 audition, and I had no idea what it was for. And I went in the closet, and my girlfriend came in with me, and she helped me. She gave me directions.
Wait, explain. I went into the closet because I know what you mean. It sounds like you went into the closet. I didn't have a mic at the time. I didn't have like any sort of setup to record good quality voiceover auditions. So we went into a closet because closets have so much clothes in them. It absorbs the sound. Put a blanket over my head and held my phone like right here. And we spent like an hour on that audition. She helped me with every single line. We pasted it together, sent it off. And it was probably like 8 months before they had me go back in for a callback. It took a really long time. Wow. You must have like forgotten about it at that point.
Yeah, I was like, what is this? Great surprise. Then for the callback, I went in the booth at their studio. They gave me a bunch of directions and adjustments. And I went back in, and it was really, really fun. It was fun getting to see all the animated stuff before it came out. I know one of the times I was by myself, and one of the times it was with a group, and just being with all these people, just normal people. And then one of them makes the sound of a Wookiee, and one of them makes it sound like they're dying. It's really, really fun. That was a really special experience. And the coolest thing that's ever happened to me, I have no idea. Well, here's a fun thing in regards to acting, and like a little fun loophole that happened once. When I was shooting The Leftovers, they hired me as a guest star. And when you're a guest star, you get paid even for your hold days. So let's say if I shot 2 days in a row and you're making $900 a day, that would be, $1,800. But if I shot one day and then had 9 days off and then shot the 10th day, that's $9,000 minus weekends. So I can't do the math right now. Well, it rained a lot and they had to push shooting one final day by like 3 months. And so for one episode, when I only shot 3 days, I made $65,000.
Good, nice.
And my agent was like, that's only ever happened one other time in my entire career. What? And that was that was right after the bed bugs. And that changed. So after paying taxes, paying my agent, and it was like $20,000. But I was like 22, 21, had no money. And I was able to buy a computer, buy a bed, fix my car.
Wow.
Pay taxes. So that was a really cool thing that happened.
That is so cool. That is, yeah, I've had a similar experience on M&M's where I shot one day and I was like, well, that was fun. But then with those residuals, like you were talking about, I think I ended up total making $75,000.
Oh,
yeah.
For one day of work.
I just love that.
Best.
But like you said, you can go, months without working.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you have to be smart. You got to take care of your essentials. Like,
totally.
You get your car, you get that bed, these are the essential things, and then you save up for the time when you're not, not working. What project do you have coming out next? You said that you have the Showtime one that is on Yellow Jacket. Is that what you called it?
Yeah, Yellow Jackets. Mm-hmm. So we're waiting to see if that gets picked up. That's the one sucky thing about doing a pilot. And they have a year to decide. So I might not know until December, but hopefully sooner than later. And I shot a film at the end of the year. It was a horror film, which was very fun. I'm not spoiling anything. I played the serial killer, so that was cool. Female serial killer.
Nice.
That's being edited right now. It's in post. Is there anything else? Yeah, and I'm just kind of waiting to see what comes next.
So what would be your dream job?
A Broadway musical. Yes, that is, working with Lin-Manuel Miranda would be amazing. If he has another show up his sleeves, that would be my dream job.
Okay, I love just saying those out loud. Veda at age 5 wants to know what your favorite tongue twister. Hi Veda, you should have seen her yesterday. She was on a class. She had just chocolate ice cream. I was like, she's just living her best life. She wants to know what favorite tongue twister or acting warm up you have.
Oh, that's a great one. Favorite tongue twister. Oh, you know what I really like? Who washed Washington's white woolen underwear when Washington's washerwoman went west?
Who washed Washington's white woolen underwear when Washington's washer went west? That's a
Washington's washerwoman went west.
Washington's washerwoman went west. I've never heard that one.
I like that one. I learned that one in high school.
Veda, I'd like you to try that 3 times fast, please. Thank you. I think my students have such great questions.
These are great.
They're so
smart.
They're so invested in the art of this business.
Yeah.
They love hearing from people like you that have been there and that are still there and that are hoping to go places still, because I agree with you. Like once you think you're at the top and you think you've made it, that's the point where you go down, right? Straight down. You always got to be climbing and working. So with just the few minutes we have left, I'd love to just go back to that time when you're living in Springfield, Oregon, and you're like the rest of us. You have a dream in your heart or a notion in your heart, or maybe you don't even think it's a possibility. What would you say to yourself if you could go back and go to that bedroom, see that bedroom, and go talk to Jasmin, maybe her junior or senior year? What would you say?
Yeah, I would say you're not weird, because I was the only one in my school who was so passionate about it. I had a grocery store job outside of school so I could pay for private acting lessons and voice and dance, and I was just obsessed. I would say you're not weird, and it's worth it. And what you're doing here in your bedroom all by yourself, making up stories, making up worlds, this is what it is. So have fun and just keep playing with your imagination. It's a strength. Your imagination is a strength. And that can be hard to know in school. You know, kids who daydream or space out or go somewhere else are often reprimanded, when really that should be celebrated and utilized and used to help with everything else. So know that it's a strength, know there are other people like you, and you'll meet them someday and it'll be worth it.
Yeah, I love that. I love too, as I hear you talk, you don't seem that far away from that girl.
Yeah, I don't think I am.
Yeah. I mean, you still seem like you would say those same things and believe those same things right now, you know, and that's really a beautiful gift. It really is a true, it's a true beauty to sit in space and share space with somebody who really doesn't just talk about being themselves, but is themselves. That is everything. Like, that's your biggest role. That's your biggest and your best role. And just doing it so well, holding your head up, making it about the art, but also understanding it's a business, being clear on that, being clear on the people who've helped you along the way, and helping others along the way, like you are sitting down with us today. It just really is a gift to share this time with you, young lady.
Thank you. It's a gift to me to see you and to feel the energy of all of you guys. Thank you for having me.
I know, I wish you could see all of them.
I wish I could too.
We realized that like our Zoom capacity can only hold 100.
Oh yeah.
And there's always like so many more people that want, you know, this information and want to learn and want to hear. And, you know, more than anything, I know that you've shared this with me too, Jasmin, is anybody that's watching this out there, we just, the artists in the community want you to know that like, we're all in this together. Like, you might be sitting around the house and feeling, you know, that we all have that same thing. We're sensitive, we're different. And if you're not channeling your art in some way, like Jasmin said, find a friend, read a play, transcribe something, watch some more cool free acting videos, watch some, you know, some things on YouTube, or create, write, draw, paint, make music.
Anything.
Yeah, not alone, right?
Yeah. Even reading. I've been reading a lot more, and that is working my imagination. That's an art.
Absolutely. I mean, I think in some ways, I've been having some of my students just sit and play very specific song and intentionally think during those song choices about what kind of characters those songs would be, like strong, FBI, powerful, detective, serial killer, or soft, nurturing, loving, humble. You know, I mean, you could, there's so many things that you can be in your art. But mostly you're not alone. We're in this with you. And Jasmin, thank you for being here with us today.
Thank you for having me. It was so great.
We are your biggest fans at Acting for Kids. We love you. We're so proud of you. So if anybody wants to follow her career, pop over to Jasmin Savoy on Instagram, or you keep up with your Facebook page too, don't you?
Yeah, not as much, but yeah. Twitter.
Instagram is how the kids can.
Yeah, what the kids do these days.
And as soon as you do a TikTok, we'll
I'll let you know.
Post it for you. They love it. Yeah, they love that.
And I just joined Cameo.
Oh yeah.
There too.
And thank your partner too for being a great, wonderful influence in your life, and we love her too, and you, and thanks to everybody for joining us. And we'll see you guys really soon. Thanks, Jasmin. Bye, everybody.
Bye.